Welcome to the Market Front Lines. I'm Lyndsay Malchuk. If you think you know the energy transition in Latin America, think again. Governments under pressure, infrastructure is aging, investors are watching quietly as the stakes soar. And navigating this landscape requires insight. It requires grit and production that actually delivers results. The old story is no longer, and that's why I'm sitting with Scott Dalinger, Business Development for DynaCERT Inc., a company pushing the boundaries of clean energy and solutions across the region. Scott is at the forefront of the connecting technology over there, with markets hungry for efficiency, for reliability, and for measurable impact. Welcome, Scott. Thank you for sitting with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Lyndsay. Excited to be here.
So, Scott, let's start with the real story here. Energy in South America is a complex puzzle. We've seen that. What are the biggest challenges that you see in the region when it comes to moving towards a true energy transition?
Yeah, South America has a huge potential to be a leader in renewable energy and in energy transition. It has obviously ample access to sunlight. It already runs a lot of its energy off of hydro, and governments are generally invested in looking for new technologies to speed that transition. At the same time, however, there's serious challenges to making that transition, and it's definitely not something that's happening quickly. When we look at power generation, for example, with diesel generators, a lot of the non-grid connected communities in South America run off of diesel power plants. So they've been trying to introduce solar and battery backups, and it works to a certain extent. But we also have days of darkness and torrential rainstorms. And when that happens, communities are without power for days on end. So even as there is a push that's happening to go renewable, it's not a clean switch and something that will happen from one day to the next. You're always going to need diesel power generation and at a bare minimum, diesel backup. The other thing is, as they look to move into electric trucks, so cities are using electric buses, they want the trucking industry to turn electric. And speaking with many trucking fleet owners and different organizations in the trucking industry, they say that's just not feasible. Not today, not anytime soon. Hydrogen-powered trucks that are full hydrogen, they cost 2 to 3 times more than diesel-powered trucks. And the electric trucks, they don't have the range to do anything beyond short-haul shipping. And most of what's done is long-haul trucking. So in those cases, the cost of hydrogen and the electric trucks aren't feasible options, so it still relies on diesel.
Okay, so, let's actually just talk about the challenges a little bit more here, as well as those solutions. You mentioned quite a few here, and I know DynaCERT is known for its unique technology. However, to bring something new like that into the markets over there that others simply just cannot match, what are those challenges that you are meeting on the other end, and how are you navigating through that?
Yeah, as we look to introduce our technology into South America, there's a learning curve that is required for customers. As people know about hydrogen, they know about diesel, but not many people have heard about the hydrogen solution that we're offering that makes hydrogen on demand to continue to use existing diesel assets. Once we sit down with them and explain it and show them the technology, it's pretty much a no-brainer where people are wanting to try the products and to see if it works to lower their costs and to lower their emissions. And because the challenge, if you're going to try to reduce your diesel spend, because right now a lot of governments are removing subsidies, that's causing the price of diesel to increase and the overall operating cost to increase. As that happens, how do you get your costs down? There's really not a way to do it other than lowering your diesel consumption. That means driving less or looking for technologies like DynaCERTs to reduce the diesel spend.
Scott, let's actually just shift gears here just a little bit. Let's talk opportunity. So among the many sectors in Latin America, which market segments, be it transport, be it power generation, be it industrial, are particularly compelling for DynaCERT right now? And really, why do they stand out?
Yeah, thank you, Lyndsay. We see tremendous potential in 2 main sectors, but also some peripheral sectors, which could come to rival those in size. So the first 2 that we see the potential in is transportation and power generation. In transportation, hydrogen trucks are just too expensive right now. They cost 2 to 3 times more. So that's not going to take the place of diesel. And electric trucks don't have the range. That means that all those diesel assets are still out there and they're still selling new trucks and will be for a long time. So with the diesel trucking, it's a no-brainer, especially where there's high diesel costs, to put on a hydrogen unit, lower the fuel consumption, and also lower their emissions. For power generation, a good part of the continent is actually not connected to the main power grid. Here we have vast amounts of rainforest. We have the Andes Mountains, which run from the tip of Chile and Patagonia up through Central America. And we have the plains. These are very remote regions that don't even have roads connected to them, and there's communities there. They rely on diesel power plants to this day. Now they're trying to introduce batteries and solar, and it does work to a certain extent, but when you have 3 days of rain, you have blackouts. So you still use the diesel generators. In those instances, most of the time they're running 24/7, consume vast amounts of diesel. So with the kind of fuel savings we could provide, the savings are staggering, hundreds of thousands into the millions of dollars per year for these small to medium-sized power plants. So that's an extremely interesting and exciting opportunity for us. Outside of those, there's some fun ones. There's fish farming, there's shrimp farming, which South America has a very large fish farm and shrimp farm industry. And in those, they have diesel engines, which power pumps that move vast amounts of water around to grow the fish and the shrimp. So those are running constantly. Again, huge amounts of diesel. They need a hydrogen unit on it. And mining oil and gas. So in those operations, they have pumps. They're always in remote locations as well, just like the communities. So they have power plants set up with just sometimes dozens of these massive diesel generators in order to power their operations. And they have budget. So those are the main areas that we're looking right now.
All right, that makes sense. Okay, Scott, let's look ahead here. Investors have heard a lot of hype talk and promises from DynaCERT. We all know that. We're going to put it on the table right here, Scott. They don't want the hype anymore. They want results. So break down for us how, moving forward now, DynaCERT actually plans to position itself over the next few years in LATM. And, if that demand grows, is the company actually fully capable of filling those orders? I mean, give us the coal of it all. What's stopping you from progressing, and how is that going to change? Because investors are really scratching their head here.
Sure. Nothing is stopping me personally from moving ahead and doing a lot of sales. I vetted the company before I joined, just the same as investors do before investing. I liked what I saw in terms of the technology. I liked the management team. I made sure that they have the production capability in the factory, and we do. So right now we have units ready to go, ready to be sold. We have additional production capability. And since I've joined the company, I've had many great conversations that are leading to trials. And as we know, any sort of large, sizable order is going to follow successful trials. So the conversations are leading to trials. When those trials are successful, then it will lead to scale orders for transportation. And then on the power generation side, it's making those contacts with the power generation companies, which we've already begun to do. They've been very receptive, sending us their existing diesel consumption, their motor information. So we're seeing a high degree of interest to test the technology and make sure that it works, which we know that it does. And then following successful trials, we do expect to see significant orders.
I mean, this is the clarity that investors are really looking for. They definitely, every person I talk to about DynaCERT is going, well, where's the results? Where's the results? So thank you for the clarity. And let's just really point that out, that you're still in the testing in Latin America for sure. You're still making those connections for sure. You're not making the promises that, yes, all these are coming and all these orders are coming now. You're taking it slow. So that is a good sign. And it's a very clear message that you're sending to your investors, like, we're doing it properly. So just stay with us.
We all see the huge potential. That's why investors invested. That's why I joined the company. But I'm not going to sit here and promise those gigantic numbers. First, we need to go through the process. We need to place the product. We need to have the test done, and then have follow-up orders. There will reach a point where word will get around, and that's where I really expect to see that curve spike.
right? Okay, that's what we're waiting for too. But I'm glad that you guys are on the right path and there's a clear story to tell. So sounds like there's a lot going on over there, and I'm sure much more to talk about. However, let's pin this here and make sure that you come back with some more of these great updates soon.
Thanks so much, Lyndsay.
Again, that was Scott Dalinger, Business Development and Head of LATAM for DynaCERT Inc., a company rewriting the rules of energy in Latin America and also rewriting the old script on the company. So listed on the TSX under DYA, on the OTCQB under DYFSF, and on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange under DMJ. For investors, it's no longer just about that hype. Now it's about the action, and you're going to see that. So see how they are redefining efficiency and the profits. Head over to DynaCERT.com. I'm Lyndsay Malchuk with Appeton Media. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.